thought about that kind of question. That's a very deep, profound question.
Yeah.
Because in a way, MIT has been very successful at drawing people from 100 countries. And we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
In the 30s, we brought, for the first time, people from many different walks of life and many different countries and cultures. Our first Nobel winner was a man who spoke with a strong accent of Italy. And so we've had experience with that question as it relates to ethnicity.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we do the same thing when it relates to race? And specifically African Americans. And I have worried and thought about that question. And there is no easy answer. It's in a sense, the American dilemma. As Myrdal said, of assuming somehow deep in the mindset that we can't make progress, and so we see defeat and we don't try hard enough. As you and I have talked about this over the years, Clarence,
Yeah.
I think it lies in the heart of each of us, but the institution has to set a frame where that kind of activity is encouraged, where people are promoted, where people are brought up and promoted, encouraged early. We do some of that, not nearly enough. I've told you I've been disappointed at our progress, and I really mean that, because I think the nation has to look to, I believe I say this now on short thought, that there are bridge institutions. Wouldn't it be great if MIT had a reputation for being a bridge institution?
That's right.
We have grown college presidents. Why can't we grow great individuals who are underrepresented, let's call that. And so, if you look for an answer, I don't have one for you. But I want to keep working on it the rest of my life, however long it is.
Yeah.
And if you have your conference, I'll attend it.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have it unless you could be there. I will work around your date. But, you know, the whole issue of how we can do better, I think, has to be somewhat related to the ability to be able to identify people like you have been able to do in your administration and in your leadership role, like, you know, people like Paul and people like Constantine and people like Jerry Wiesner. And so one of the things that I think is very important is to have people like you who have the ability to identify these kind of people. And so, you know, how do you do that? I mean, how have you been able to do that?
I work at it. I really think that's a key thing to be able to do. And when I came out of the University of Chicago as a graduate student after the war, I took a year and worked with a firm of Robert N. McMurray and company, who were psychologists, industrial psychologists, because I hadn't had any of that kind of training. And I'm not sure it was all that great, but it made me think about identifying competence and identifying attitudes. Attitudes, in my mind, you have to, at a place like MIT, you have to assume that people are going to be bright. Our problem is to find the people with the right attitude toward their fellow man. And so I have spent a lot of time, when I talked to Constantine the first time I saw him, it was clear that he had an open heart on those issues. And Gray too. great too.
Mm-hmm.
I learned things from Wiesner on that score. He had it as a citizen, you know.
Yeah.
And I believe, not thanks to me, but I did too. I felt that way. I have a question for you,
Sure.
Clarence. I know you have put these issues in front of MIT. Sometimes a great success and always there. Do we have does the president of our institution have an annual review with you and perhaps a few deans and perhaps a few more? I know we have elaborate ways of judging our progress, but I would like him to say, why haven't we made more what progress did we make and why haven't we made more? Or do we do that?
Well, I think I have not been a part of it.
You should be. But wouldn't that be an idea? I was going to
would.
raise this with Chuck Vest.
I think it would. I mean, I think that...
Because I read your paper, I thought, I'm going to talk to Vest about that. I think it would help.
Well, I think it would. I think if we are having those kind of discussions, I'm not sure we have the right people to sit down and talk about these issues in a way of raising tough questions that we can then have some possibilities of trying to have some tough actions, you know, because I do believe that there are some people here who can make a difference, but I think we have to do like you're suggesting. We have to bring these people together periodically and ask ourselves these tough questions.
Is it high on our priority list? That's the interesting question to me.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't
really
think so.
And I think that I think it should be.
I agree with you.
One other question, and that is, we have had very little progress in diversifying our faculty in terms of underrepresented minorities. And to some extent women, although we have made progress there. I know you have worked on this issue in the various positions you've had. And at this point, what suggestions do you have for dealing with this issue? One of the really interesting things that has occurred recently is that, you know, the women faculty, as you know, have just begun to make issues even clearer regarding our unsuccessful effort to bring them in and make them feel like they are being treated fairly and so forth. So if you are looking at the whole category of people who are different on the present faculty, minorities and women, and given, you know, your intimate involvement over the years, past and present, your experience, your knowledge, what suggestions do you have?
I'm told, and I'm not in the firing step anymore. I'm told that the problem is that as soon as the institute starts somebody up the ladder, another institution offers him or her a better opportunity at a higher rank and higher pay than MIT would. I've never thought that was a good excuse. But I do recognize it's part of our responsibility to grow people, to move on, so there is a complex double step there. I think we just have to have the reputation. I think there's nobody vying for that reputation across the country of producing promotable underrepresented minorities in numbers enough so you're not sorry to see when they go on. We're proud when somebody goes to another place to be president, even though they are very good and we hate to see them go. We've had a lot of recent examples, and through time we have had examples of that. Why shouldn't we be just as proud when an associate professor gets a full chair someplace? But as you and I have talked at great length, we have not made enough progress. And so you and I are going to be voices still saying it's important. It is important. I've told you how high I put it on my list.
Yes, absolutely.